right, so thanks for joining us today for Gain a Competitive Advantage with Teren. My name is Stacey McBride, and I am the webinar coordinator for today. So I'm here to help answer questions and kick things off for our guest speakers today. Before we jump into the meat of our presentation, I want to go through a couple of housekeeping items. First, our lines are muted. Please keep them on mute, and most cameras should be disabled, except for those of our speakers today. The webinar is recorded, as I mentioned, which means that afterwards you can watch it again if you just loved it, and you can share it with your colleagues and your friends. We'll have it online, and I'll be sure to send a link to all participants today, as well as anybody who registered but couldn't make it. You can submit questions throughout the webinar. Don't hold back. Go ahead and let those questions fly through the chat. You can find a little chat icon in the bottom right corner of your screen, and you can submit those questions throughout the content of the program. We are going to wait to answer them till the end, but again, don't be shy. Please send those across. So I'm going to introduce you to our speakers today, but before I do that, I'm going to take just a minute to talk about Teren. Many of you may be wondering who Teren is and where we came from. Teren is a data and analytics company based in Denver, Colorado. And we made a name for ourselves in the Appalachian region, which we'll hear about today, by identifying and monitoring natural force threats to energy assets. We were previously known as SolSpec, which you may have heard of before, and we rebranded to Teren in early 2022. So if you're thinking we're fresh off the street, our brand is, but our experience and our depth is not. We've been around for a long time. Today, we're continuing to help energy companies make the leap from risk management to resilient infrastructure. And we do that by delivering actionable insights around land movement, vegetation analysis, and hydrology analysis. However, we've also applied our approach and our technology and to building resilient infrastructure, which is why you're all here today. We're going to show you how Teren can help engineering firms and developers gain access to high-fidelity data for site selection, surveying, construction. We'll demonstrate how fast and accurate our data is to help you gain a competitive edge in this highly congested market. You all know how quickly resources are flying off the shelves and getting booked out. It's hard to get boots on the ground. It's hard to get projects underway when everybody's slammed. So we're going to show you another way that you can get the access to the data you need through our programs. So our speakers today are three of my colleagues at Teren. Brad Wright, he's an account executive with Teren, and he's going to be our MC. Brad has decades of account management and sales experience, and he's really honed in on how our solution helps solar and renewable developers move the needle in their projects. He is your contact and can help you with projects across the country if you're working in the renewable space. Next, you'll hear from Jacob Dara. Jacob is based in Appalachia, where Teren Data Analyses was born. Jacob can help engineering firms gain access to Teren's data via our content program and our acquisition strategy. Jacob has extensive experience in GIS, spatial analysis, remotely sensed data, and civil engineering. So not only is he a great resource to go to get your data needs met, he's a great resource to ask questions and to get to know and to really help understand how this data can truly add value to your organization. And last but not least, you're going to hear from Austin Savage, who's our Director of Operations. Austin has a ton of experience in geospatial analyses and working with aerial sensor platforms. His background includes project management, imagery and LiDAR production, and airborne GPS trajectories. But I like to say that Austin's every client's best friend, because Austin makes sure that our flight plans, our data and analytics all meet the needs of our customers and that they're really happy with what we're providing. So you're in for a treat. These guys are pros and they're here to talk to you today. I'm going to hand it off to Brad and we'll get started with the content.
Stacey, thank you so much. And ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate everyone joining. On today's call, there's really three takeaways that, we want you just to kind of take away from this message is number one, Teren provides, 100% provides a better approach to getting high fidelity data. And what we're going to do is we're going to have Jacob Dara talk about the content program in the Appalachia area, and we're going to compare our data to 3DEP. Number two, Teren processes LiDAR data faster than anyone else. And what we're going to do is we're going to have Austin Savage talk about the Hermit's Peak fire that happened in New Mexico. It's the largest state fire in state history. We're going to demonstrate just how we can collect large volumes of data. And number three, Teren's data, it's good for your business, not just during, the actual development of, of your projects going down the road, but with our LiDAR, you're going to get precise contours, topo, everything that you've been asking for. So with that being said, I'm going to pass things off to Jacob, who's going to talk about our high-fidelity data content program, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. Jacob?
Thanks, Brad. First, I want to do a little housekeeping on some acronyms that you might hear throughout the presentation. First, on your left-hand side of the screen, we have our 3-band imagery or orthophotography. I'm sure at some point in your careers, you guys have used that, so I won't harp too much on that. In the middle there, we have our digital surface model, or we refer to it as our DSM. That shows all the features that the LiDAR sees, so anything from buildings to vegetations. We currently have a client using this model to help with the routing of some fiber lines. And then lastly, we have the DTM, or the digital terrain model, and that just strips all those surface features and just gives you the ground. And this is what we use to generate our contours up to 1 foot, help you with any kind of earth moving that you might need. Slide. Okay, now this is our content program. So what we're looking at here on the right-hand side, that map, that is our Appalachia content region. On the center of that map, to orient yourselves for those that are not familiar with the area, that is the northern panhandle of West Virginia. And then we also have coverage of southwestern PA and the eastern side of Ohio. Throughout the history of Teren, we've flown over 10,000 square miles of data right in this region here. We fly it twice a year. So we fly it leaf off in the spring and in the fall. This is available completely on demand. So if you happen to have a project within this area or within any of our content programs, if you send us a shapefile or a KMZ, we're able to take that, put it through our system, and deliver that data to you within hours. The other regions we're looking to expand the same content region include Oklahoma and Arkansas, California, the Gulf Coast, and the Permian Basin. So our hope is to cover those areas and have that same kind of speed as far as returning that data to you, because the biggest pain points we hear with our civil engineering clients are efficiency to get the data and cost efficiency. Austin's going to get into a little bit of how Teren's approach to that has kind of mitigated some of those concerns, but our focus is on getting that data to the clients efficiently. So we hear a lot about 3DEP and how our content program compares to that of 3DEP. So this just was a project that a civil engineering firm was looking at. You see the 3DEP stuff was flown in 2018. The Teren data of the same exact area was flown in the spring of 2022. So our data is, more up to date, more current. We're flying it all the time. Anytime leaves are off, we're flying. And then you'll also see within the 3DEP and within Teren, 3DEPs is 8 points per square meter. So you see a little bit of a jump in resolution as far as Teren's concerned. We fly 20 points per square meter.
Hey, Jacob, question for you. Really good stuff. Super interesting. But how would an engineering firm, a developer, how would they actually use this program?
Yeah, so there's the cool thing about working with different engineering firms. They do a lot, from everything from solar to oil and gas. No project's the same. So they use it a lot for tree clearing, hydrology, any kind of dirt movement that needs to happen. We understand there's a project backlog for these engineers, and that they need this stuff quickly and efficiently. So that's what we really try to tackle without sacrificing any type of accuracy. So whatever that project might be, whether it's just moving some dirt or clearing some trees, we want to make sure that we get that in the hands of the engineers so that they can begin their process and keep their project on budget and on time.
Perfect. Okay, awesome. I appreciate that. So ladies and gentlemen, what we're going to do now is we're actually going to switch gears. And what we're going to do is we're going to have Austin Savage. We're actually going to discuss how we can still give you this competitive advantage. You know, how can you expedite your projects even if you don't have that specific data in your content program? So what I'm going to do is going to pass things off to Austin. He's going to tell us a little bit more. Austin?
Yeah, thanks, Brad. Hope everyone is having a good day. So, so here at Teren, we really pride ourselves by taking a different approach to problem solving in the industry. So, really to date, our focus has been really to get actionable insight to the customer in a timely manner, while adhering to project accuracy specs. A lot of our focus to date really has been around kind of risk prevention. And, in a lot of cases, major human and environmental impacts are really real consequences to our customers. And so, Teren's differentiator to mitigate that risk and to get actionable insight in the hands of our customer at, really rapid speed is really our ability to scale our workflows to really meet any type of project deadline. And so, in the example that you see here, Teren was tasked with completing a time-sensitive emergency response project for the USDA. So the USDA, really they required a hazard mitigation prioritization plan over the Hermit Peak burn scar. But the kicker of this project was, they wanted the finalized plan within 4 weeks of project award. So what that meant for Teren was that we needed to collect, process, and analyze 400,000 acres in a 4-week time frame. Teren was able to collect and produce a 40-centimeter resolution data set over the burn scar. And we used that to inform our risk mitigation plans that we then handed off to the USDA and Forest Service. And so in that area, there's a lot of monsoonal flows during that time in the summer. All of that was moving in, and so the threat of debris flows to values at risk and human life in that region was ever growing. So the USDA really required analytics right away, and so boots on the ground due to the rough terrain. They could not quantify the severity of these burn areas in a timely manner, and that's really where Teren came in. And so, with these data points in mind, project success, was really defined by speed of delivery and accuracy of results. And so luckily, Teren was able to deliver everything within that 4-week time frame. We completed all processing of the 400,000 acre terrain data set within 15 hours of our last data upload. And so what that was able to do is that we had ample time for our environmental scientists and data scientists to really produce and go through our mitigation and prioritization plan for the USDA. And so at this point, I'm going to like to transition, and I'm going to show you guys all kind of our front end viewer. And so this is where all of our project data is housed. Obviously, we do provide all the physical files as well, but we do have a lot of customers that necessarily don't have a big GIS platform or don't have the subject matter expertise to house and host and stream this data. So give me a second. I'm going to swap screens here. All right, hopefully, can I get a check? Could everyone see my screen?
We can.
Great. All right, so here's the Teren viewer. I just want to give you guys a little workaround. This was the Hermit Peak burn scar. This is our hillshade. All the data you're going to see here is all being housed and streamed through the Teren servers. All this data is, could be streamed to any type of customer. And so what I just kind of want to highlight first is, here's our DTM hillshade here. So this viewer is fully 3D. You could move around in any sense. Just let it render here. And so, in that area, we also, had our DSM as well. We do all of our own classifications, all that sort of thing. And over the area, we also collected ortho mosaics as well. Again, all this is all 3D. You can move this around. All this is streamed. And so, what the nice thing about this viewer is, we're able to, house all of our GIS layers within this. And so what this is nice for is in this particular case was offline usage. A lot of these engineers who had to go through and kind of QA/QC all this area, they needed a platform to be able to use in the field and be able to pull up attribution. And so what we see here is we identified and automatically all the structures within the burn area. And so what we did here was actually dive in and add attribution to these features, whether the risk of the debris flow, the acreage, how many housings. And so, there's a lot of tools within our viewer that we can utilize. There's an identify tool, And so when you bring that up, all of this is all Teren attribution. All this is all customizable. Obviously, we can put anything really, really within here. The nice thing is once you do have these attribution, there is a lot of customization for exports. So if I click these three buttons, we can export this to a shapefile, CSV, any type of Excel formats. So there is a lot of customization of this. And so, any of our customers that definitely don't have a big GIS sense, Teren can house a lot of this and kind of offload a lot of this expertise to you. Obviously, there's a lot of measuring tools. There's drawing, as well as you can add importing layers as well. A lot of our customers utilize our content program, like that Jacob was explaining, and a lot of that is a temporal assessment, right? And so, what a lot of our customers use this layers for is they're able to custom build their application by adding temporal data sets back in. So a lot of our customers have kind of a directory of layers. I'll use an example, geohazard layers from many different years. And so they can really pull in these footprints to see how these footprints have changed through time. So, there's quite a bit of functionality in this. Every customer that works with Teren, they have access to this. We can add in customer layers from your own data sets or within ourselves. At this point, I'm going to stop sharing, Stacy, and I think we could transition into how Teren is able to utilize our speed and efficiency to meet your project deadlines. So Teren really accomplishes this type of flexibility and deadlines by leveraging cloud computing for dynamic scalability. What this allows us to do is process very large data sets. And how we are able to do that is we take the LiDAR production workflow and we dissect it into very smaller and concrete workflows. And since we've broken up that production workflows into smaller workflows, what we're able to do is scale and distribute these workflows to thousands of computing nodes. And those nodes can process simultaneously. Now, having the ability to scale at a moment's notice is quite nice, but anybody who is in this space can understand that there's an unwelcoming byproduct of upkeep and monitoring each one of these computer nodes while in production. And so what Teren is able to do is we combat this issue by leveraging intelligent mechanisms that redeploy computing nodes automatically upon failures or errors. And so what this has enabled us to do is keep a very small team of subject matter experts that can really kind of dive in and focus on the task at hand. And so as of now, all of our production workflows are housed in AWS and in the AWS environment. But I do want to say that our pipeline is completely agnostic to cloud vendors. So we can utilize this really in any platform. So ultimately, who is Teren? So Teren is really comprised of subject matter experts from all over the technology space. We have experts in high performance computing, remotely sensed data, data science, policy, ESG, and environmental engineering. Our team is carefully curated to solve complex problems by applying modern data science techniques, geointelligence, high-performance computing to deliver timely, actionable results. Teren works with all types of asset owners, developers, engineering firms, insurers to pinpoint risk, reduce exposures, and improve climate resilience. And so with that, I'd like to pass back to Brad to discuss why Teren is good for you and your business. Thanks, everybody.
Listen, Austin, I can't thank you enough. This is great. And, everyone that's on the phone right now, why should you utilize Teren? To think about this, to think about, while that we collect, we process LiDAR, our true bread and butter, guys, is in the speed and the accuracy at which we can classify, calibrate, and deliver that data to you. I promise you, again, that we do it better and faster than anyone else. Guarantee it. So in today's call, we spoke about three different things, right? Teren provides a better approach to getting high fidelity data. Number two, Teren processes, LiDAR data faster than anyone else. And lastly, number three, Teren's data is good for your business. So little side note right here, Austin and I, we're going to kind of go back and forth. And this is a project that we had worked on. This is a customer that in the very beginning, they did not utilize Teren's data sets. They did not utilize our LiDAR capabilities. And after a significant, rainfall, they realized that they had some serious drainage, hydrology, and some contour issues. So what they did is they contacted me. They worked with both Austin and I. We were able to, collectively grab the plane, take it from where it was in a very, short time period, fly this project at night, because where this site was, they were able to take the arrays, turn them at a negative 51, degree angle. Austin and his team, they were able to go down there. They were able to fly this at night. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have Austin just, touch upon what exactly you guys are looking at here.
Yeah, thanks, Brad. Yeah, so this was a pretty, this was a pretty interesting area from my perspective. So, this was an active site. And so there's a lot of talk about, be able to model the ground surface of this. And so, I thought this was a pretty cool flight plan, just due to the fact that we actually had to do some trig to understand exactly that flight altitude that would give us the maximum coverage on the ground itself. And so this particular customer, they knew that they had some type of a hydrology issue, but they were having a hard time quantifying the scale of what that was, right? The surface had a lot of vegetation on it. There was a lot of panels. And so really what you could see in these two photos above us, you couldn't really understand the grasp of that issue. And so what we were able to do is we were able to go in there, fly it, and we delivered this data within 2 days of post-flight. And so we were really able to kind of show the engineers, how bad of a problem they were going to have. And by using this, they were able to understand what their cut fill was, how much yards of dirt they needed to bring in to really kind of jump into it and tackle the problem. And so, that's why we see a lot of benefits within Teren, is just due to the project timeline, right? So a lot of clients, there's a lot of bookkeeping, a lot of back and forth. It takes months to get a data set, but when you work with Teren, we really try to get right down to the issue. We don't try to over-prescribe anything, over-engineer it. We just get you exactly what, the actual results to your issues.
So, hey, Stacey, what we're going to do is we're going to pass this over to you. I don't know if there's any questions in the queue or anything else along those lines. But again, everyone, we want to thank everyone that's on the phone call right now. And please, send any questions you have to Stacey.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Really appreciate you going over what Teren can offer, from our content program to how quickly we can deliver data, and how, having the right data early on in a project can really help you ensure operational success in the future. I do have a couple of questions queued up that I can start going through, and then as new questions come in, I'll just hop into them. So first, I think you touched on this early in the call, Jacob, but let me, I want to just reiterate, how many points per meter are we capturing data at?
Yeah, Teren captures data at 20 points per square meter. As compared to 3Depth, that's 8 points per square meter. So Teren's data is higher in fidelity as far as that's concerned, and we're able to produce 1 foot contours with that information.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Austin, you mentioned during the discussion about capturing the hydrology issue, the contour issue with our customer, that we were flying at an altitude that you could really get the insight you needed. What altitude do we typically fly at?
Yeah, so obviously, we really have multiple altitudes, right? So our content program, typically we fly about 1,200, 1,300 meters above ground for our content. And then really any type of project specific, that's really dependent on the project and what the project needs, right? We do utilize a twin engine fixed wing aircraft. So we do have a lot of flexibility. We've flown in the mountains, we've flown at sea level. So there's really no type of limitations for Teren in terms of data collection.
Awesome. And we have a lot of different types of professionals on the call today, who I can imagine all have different data needs. Jacob, can you let us know what data types we can support and provide, that we provide?
Yeah, so the models that you were seeing, those are GeoTIFF models, which are commonly used in Esri or GIS type software suites. We also can provide it to any kind of AutoCAD or Civil 3D needs. My suggestion to folks that are looking to work with Teren is just get with us. We'll make sure that we get you some information, some sample data sets that we'll send your way, so that you're comfortable with what we provide, so that you're able to open up your DWGs or whatever it might be within your AutoCAD software.
Awesome. Thank you. And I know we have a lot of engineers on the call, so I think I have to ask, nobody else has asked this yet, but can you talk to us a little bit about absolute accuracy, Austin?
Yeah, sure. So, again, I'll kind of give you two numbers here. And so, in our content program, it's a lot larger. It's around, I think with overlap, it's close to 15,000 square miles. And so we do have a controlled network that is based upon that entire area. As we grow it, we do expand our control network. And so typically the absolute accuracy I'm seeing in our content program is typically around that 9 to 11 centimeter range. Some areas are better, some areas are worse. And a lot of times what we also do is if there is a customer that does utilize our content program and they have a specific area that has a specific control, right? Maybe it's in a different coordinate reference system, or it is actually in fact a local control system. And so we are able to calibrate that to your own control, so we can recalibrate with that. It does take a little bit more time to produce, right? Because we do have to re-export. But yeah, typically between like the 9 and 11 centimeters for our content region. And then in terms of any type of civil engineer project, so that's really anything I would say between 5,000 and less acreage. Typically we see around, the 4 to 5 centimeter range of absolute accuracy. So, typically the smaller the project, the better the accuracy that we're going to see.
Awesome. And there's one more question here, and again, this may have been from a late joiner, because I think you touched on this, Jacob, but I just want to reiterate, when we already have data in our content program, how quickly can we turn around getting that data into the hands of our customers?
Yeah, so once we get our KMZ or shapefile, we've turned that data around within hours. For instance, that project that we saw earlier that showed the 3-dep and compared to our data, within a couple hours, we had the data to our client so that they are able to start working on their project.
Awesome. Thank you. I think that covers most of the questions here. A lot of topics or a lot of questions asked kind of the same way. I do want to let everybody know that they could contact our experts at any time. Their emails are here on the screen, and of course, we'll be sending this information out to everybody. So please contact Brad, Jacob, or Austin, and keep an eye out for us at some upcoming conferences. We're going to be out in Anaheim at the RE+. You'll see you'll see Brad and Austin out there. Jacob is presenting later this month at the EnergyIS conference. We have folks in the insurance sector who will be at InsurTech a little bit later this month as well. And then last but not least, I mentioned at the beginning that we got our start in the energy sector. We'll be up at the International Pipeline Conference at the end of the month as well. So keep an eye out for our team. We're going to be out and about for the next couple of weeks, and we'd love to connect with you and talk about how we can solve your challenges and help you get the data that you need faster. And with that, we're going to end the call. Feel free to reach out to any of us, and have a great day.